Alright guys, so we made it. It's the first official test day. We've done minor test days with no body and all these other things and had some fun with it at Grange. But today, we're here at the balcony. We got the whole crew out today. A couple of really good homies out today as well. This is JoJo. You guys remember JoJo? This is the man who gave us the car. JoJo calls me when I walk out of a Tony Evans film and he says, "Yo bro, your Pro 2 build, would it happen to be an E46 chassis? Because if so, I feel like the Lord put it on my heart to give you an E46 chassis." He doesn't know it's still his. Don't tell him. It hasn't been transferred yet. Yeah, listen, that's not the point. Point is, we're gonna test the car today at high speeds and probably be my first time clicking fourth gear. Really excited to see what it does. I've clicked fourth before, but this time I can actually use it. Car's pretty much inspected, everything looks good, bumpers all mounted. I'm gonna go throw my helmet on, my shoes on, and get some driving. Reason I'm putting on driving shoes, just like so we can have this conversation, because I normally would drive in Vans, but I'm actually gonna be driving this car in driving shoes most of the time, so I really would just want to feel it out. And it's one of those things like where you want to get comfortable with it, but as soon as you get in the car and you start driving, you just black out, nothing really matters, and your feet are just somehow attached to your feet, and they don't feel any different. It's
your
weird.
feet are attached to your feet?
Your feet are attached to your feet, it's weird.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
That's the one. I clicked fourth coming in and it, no problem, straight to the top. And then when I came around, I downshifted into third because I kind of like got a little scared. And then as I was coming around, I clicked back up into fourth and it was bogging. Oh, that's what that was. And I finally like dipped the clutch and it came back alive. But I'll come in fourth, it's just too loose. I can feel the car tracking way too hard out with this tire pressure. So, but damn, this thing freaking keeps, no problem. Car feels absolutely insane. Most of that driving is in fourth. I'm trying to get it up into fourth, but I'm having issues maintaining traction down the straightaway just because the tires are just too beat. We'll put freshies on it. We're gonna adjust a little bit of camber on the driver's side. Rear is wearing a little bit on the, I'll show you guys kind of like why I'm saying these things. Let's talk about why. How's the, I didn't pull that one off yet? Yeah, we can put them back here on the, put them on the, the big ball across the back. Exactly. Sorry. I have the creeper too. Sorry, I'm showing you something. So essentially, in a drift car, when you're trying to get traction, your best bet is to try to maintain zero camber in the rear end, even with the camber curve to the factory car and all these things, which you can adjust by changing pickup points and all that stuff. But pretty much, oh, it's warm. If you look at the wear of the tire, this is a really good section to look at. You can see how much meat is left out here, and you can see how it gets gradually more worn toward the inside of the tire. So what this is telling me This is the face of the wheel, that when the car's squatting and I'm on throttle, my tire is cambering in like this. So that's a negative camber. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull in the lower proper FabWorks arm to straighten the wheel back out in order to get more of a contact surface for more traction and more of an even wear. It's essentially more traction. If you can put the whole tire on the floor, it's better. If you're only running this side of the tire, which is essentially what we're doing, that's not good. You really need to get the whole tire used. I got a couple buddies who drive Cressidas, and they literally drive on this inside patch. Their camber's so bad that they literally wear out this, and then this whole side of the tire is still like a brand new tire. So what they'll do is they'll pop it off and they'll flip it and all that stuff, which is just kind of nature of that car. But when you have a car that can be adjusted, like what we have with the proper arms in the rear, we really need to adjust it properly because we're trying to get involved in the highest form of competition, which means we need to be on top of our game. The car needs to be as fast as it can be and as gripped up as it could be relative to competition. What's up, Stephanie? Stephanie's here. Hello, guys. Oh, look at this one's worse. You can see the passenger side's even more cambered. So we need to pull camber out of both sides of the car. I think what it is that we have it zeroed where we're sitting when the car's not moving, but on throttle the car's getting a lot of squat because we have a lot of travel in the rear suspension. So as it travels, this thing called camber curve, your wheel starts to camber in as the suspension compresses. What that means is that we need to pull and make this way more positive to get the full usage of the tire. Somebody was already like, oh dude, your car has so much positive camber. Like, no, it's not even zero. Now it's gonna have positive camber. Now it's gonna have way too much positive camber, but it's gonna be enough because again, it's all about the functionality of the car. So essentially we're driving mostly on half of the tire on both sides. So once we put down a full tire pressure, this is passenger, that's driver. Once we can put the full tire down on the floor, the car's characteristics change. So we need to get that dialed and then start messing with stuff. We growing.
I feel like I'm Whoa, where'd you go? Dang.
Coming down, 33, 32. We just can't handle like hot laps. And when you give it throttle, it starts to cool down faster. So I think we need to put some type of water pump extra in the system. When it's blowing the water, it's cooling, it's coming back cold. I mean, like, look, it's back now. Our oil pressure is still really low. But oil pressure is really not going to come back up until oil gets real cold. But we're forcing it through the system the whole time. Or an oil cooler. Or an oil cooler on the full oil. I think we'll have to cut the tabs off on the back bar and reconfigure it. If it comes down, it's full intent. I think we're out of fuel too. So they cut on me hard, right? That's why I pulled in. Really fast, and the car was good. The car was real good, really fast. It's really good. It's really fast.
Well, we were real happy with what was going on, and at the end of the day, you know, you got to be happy.
You're about to come over and put your hands down.
The car was really. I can't stop smiling. You know, Todd out there, and you know, a lot of good drivers, and you know, the car was really good. It was really fast. it was really good. It was really fast.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Yeah, the car's like ridiculously fast. We figured out some of the camber issues in the rear. Let me show you now that we've gone over that. Oh, this thing's hot. So for comparison, passenger side versus passenger side. Now, this was prior to the adjustment. This is after the adjustment. You can see how much of the tire now is being used versus before. How we had a high side and it tapered down to a low side because of the camber. So the camber curve and everything that we've kind of, just the adjustments we've done, we didn't really fix camber curve, but the adjustments we've made now allow us to use the entire tire. You can really see how dialed in it is based off of these outer marks here. We get even wear. We have the same size tread on the inside that we do on the outside. So I would say that the camber's pretty dialed in. For those of you who are concerned about it looking like it's too much positive camber, appearance to a point does not matter because it needs to function. Hugo, bring that thing over here. Look at it. Oh yeah. Here's another prime example where the tread survived on the outside on this tire. It no longer does, which means we're using the entire tire. So the rear end camber's dialed in. The toe that we have set up right now is working really good with the tire pressures we figured out, around 20 with these tires. We're gonna go out for some more. We're gonna do a simulation of what FD would be, or competition rather, because I don't really know what FD is gonna be like. I've watched it a lot, I've never experienced it myself. But we'll do based off of what we know, and we'll simulate 1 run, 2 runs, and we'll watch the coolant temperatures, and we'll watch the engine oil pressure, and we'll see if we can maintain a safe operating temperature in order to compete for 2 laps. Essentially what happens is you start getting into these crazy high horsepower numbers and your car begins to slowly go lower and lower in the amount of drive time you can get out of it because it's just so hot. There are ways to combat it, which we are learning all of those so that we could make it a car where we can hot lap, but it just gets so gnarly that you have run times. You can do 4 laps and then you gotta kind of let it cool down. We'll get there, we'll figure it all out, but
Yeah, you want to know what you want.
so far so good. This thing's fast as hell. to pump. As soon as I did that, I'm at 227 already. So from 35 to 27 fast. Need to flow water. So we're simulating right now a one more time situation. We did 2 laps. The car got a little warm. Right now it's still too warm. Again, we're figuring out what's helping, what's hurting. We're gonna figure out what to do when we get back to the garage. Right now it's coming down in temperature, so what we're doing is we did our 2 runs. We got a little warm. We're pulling it in, swapping the tires, and go out and do 2 more to simulate a one more time battle. So let's see by the time we get these tires done, if the car will be back down to operating temperature to where we can go and throw it again. We'll see what it does.
5 minutes later.
It didn't pass the test. We need to add some type of water pump in it. We need to put an oil cooler on it. A couple of things to do. So that's what these days are for, to figure out what it'll do. That's that. I don't really know what else to say. It sucks, but this is a learning experience, having something this high horsepower that puts out this much heat. That's what this is for. We essentially figured out that it needs more cooling because it makes a lot more heat. So nothing to frown upon. It's obviously really cool to get it done right the first time, but in this situation we're living and learning, and we're going to progress. So it should be a good time. You should also really try the Z-Bar things. They're great. We're having a little bit of a cooling issue. There's something loose in the rear end, which we gotta find. Oil catch can that needs to kind of be addressed as well. Other than that, the car's doing great. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. The biggest difference between this and the last car is the amount of side bite and forward bite it has, and then the way that it responds to the inputs that I do. So everything means a lot more in this car. A little dip in the steering wheel means a transition, where the last car you kind of have to really crank it over and dip it in to get the car to rotate. So this one's very, very, very subtle. Front end feels great, SLR as always. Rear end camber's all dialed in, proper boys. I'm excited for this car. It's dope. We got a couple things to address, but all in all, a good day. All these boys helped build this car. A lot of other people. These are our main dudes that have my back for a long time. Thank you guys for participating. I know it's kind of a stupid thing to do, burn tires off the car, but I'm having fun. It's a fun thing. It's fun for sure. As always, guys, stay safe.